This is Dr. Arpana Chaturvedi from the Department of Information Technology. The subject which I am taking is Artificial Intelligence, and in this, today we will learn about learning. Before we have already talked about learning agents, how it works, what are its different components. Today we see that how learning can be achieved. So learning can be achieved by taking advices from experts in different domains. It can be achieved from observations also, from various examples, from some direct instructions, or you can say by analyzing differences, that what we are looking for, what is the goal and what we have achieved. So to perceive a goal, what all changes are required. We can learn by deductions, by deducing some outputs or conclusions from the rules, from the knowledge. Learning by explaining experiences, and here experience includes explanation. That's why I'm saying learning by explaining their own experience in particular domain, learning by using relevant information related to that domain, or learning by correcting their own mistakes to give better performance, and learning by recording previous cases related to the same domain, so that when the similar case comes as an input, they can just refer to the previous cases and reach to some conclusion to give better output. So these are various ways through which learning can be achieved. Whereas various forms of learning paradigms are rote learning, induction learning, clustering, analogy, discovery, genetic algorithm, and reinforcement. In coming slide, we will just look at a very brief description about all these paradigms. So out of this, when we talk about these in a small definition form, we say that rote learning is basically a learning by memorization, where you keep in memory certain concepts, or you can say you keep on mugging up repeatedly, and then later on you remember that yes, it was already happened in the past, and on the basis of which you take the decision. So it's one-to-one mapping from the input which is stored in your mind or in the knowledge base. Associative based storage and retrievals are being happened over here. Then there is an induction. Induction paradigm says ki learning by examples. It is a form of supervised learning. It uses some example to reach to general conclusions. So already existing cases or examples are being fed into the machine in the form of input and output, which are also said to be training data, or you can say labeled data sets. And on the basis of those all already stored concepts or informations, whenever a new input comes, they generate a model on the basis of given input and output, and whenever a new input comes to the model, it always refer to the training set and reaches to some conclusion. So that is learning from already existing examples. Then clustering. In clustering, it is a form of unsupervised learning where we discover similar kind of groups and we make clusters. So inductive learning, in which natural cases are found for data instances as well as ways of classifying them on the basis of some similar kind of features. If you are having the raw data, and we will be making grouping up similar kind of data sets, a small chunk of data set together, and then classifying that this data set lies in this particular group, this data set lies in this particular group, to reach to certain conclusion. Then another paradigm is analogy. It determines correspondence between two different representations that come from induction learning, in which a system transfers a knowledge from one database into another database of a different domain. So that is an analogy. Then another paradigm is discovery. Here, learning without the help of from a teacher. Learning is both inductive and deductive. It is deductive if it proves theorem from and discovers concepts about those theorems. It is inductive whenever it is raising guesses. So it is also a kind of unsupervised learning. specific goal is not given. You are discovering new things, you are deducing new theorems from the existing rules, from the existing data sets, and then you are reaching to some goal. Then there is a genetic algorithm which is inspired by natural evolution. In the natural world, the organisms that are poorly suited for an environment die off, while those well suited for it prosper remains there. So genetic algorithms search the space of individual for good conditions. The goodness of an individual is measured by some fitness function, and such takes place in parallel with many individuals in each and every generation. So these are certain paradigms which learnings actually uses, and this another paradigm is reinforcements, in which we learn from the feedback, and this feedback can be in the form of reward or penalty. Whenever this feedback is given at the end of a sequence of steps, unlike supervised learning, the reinforcements learning takes place in an environment where the agent cannot directly compare the result of its action to a desired result. Instead, it is given some reward or punishment that relates to its action. It may win or lose a game. In gaming, if we take an example of gaming system, so whenever it wins the game, it will be given a reward, whereas whenever it loses the game, it will be given a penalty. So the job of reinforcement learning is to find a successful function using these rewards only. So these are some set of paradigms. If we say that what are the different paradigms of learning, so there are so many number of paradigms, out of which the main core we say are rote learning, or you can say induction learning, or learning by example, learning by taking advice, explanation based learning, or learning in problem solving. These are few paradigms. On the basis of these all paradigms, we'll talk about few kinds of learnings. One is rote learning. When we talk about rote learning, it is a technique which avoids understanding the inner complexities but focuses on memorizing the material so that it can be recalled by the learner exactly the way it read or heard. So suppose the things are being memorized after doing some task for the first time, then next time when the similar kind of task comes as an input, in spite of moving or understanding its inner complexity, it will be going to remember or referring to the already existing similar kind of work which is remains in its memory and perform the job in a very simpler manner using the same steps. So learning by memorization basically saves knowledge, so it can be used again later on in future. Retrieval is only problem, otherwise no repeated computation is required, inference or query is necessary. And as I said, it avoid understanding the inner complexities of the subject because it is already been learned. And second kind of rote learning is learning something from repeating, saying the same thing and trying to remember how to say it. It does not help to understand, it only remember, like we learn a poem or song or multiplication tables we used to learn in the as a child in our childhood time. So still we remember those all things which we repeatedly set to mug up, to memorize, to just you can say without understanding, repeating it again and again to keep it in our memory is something which is also a kind of rote learning. That learning by memorization, if we look at the example, now, on the basis of memorization which avoid basically the understanding of inner complexities of the subject, we mainly focuses on the stored knowledge. Okay, what is the knowledge which has been already stored, and we every time whenever that new thing is coming, new input is coming, we will be recalling the concept from that stored knowledge. So in this let's say we have already find out or calculated the factorial of 5, and we know that to calculate the factorial of 5 we have to multiply 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So in future whenever any other number comes and we need to find out the factorial, let's say we need to find out the factorial of 6. So what we'll do, we know we have already found the factorial of 5, so we will not be going to calculate it again. It will be going to pick the value of this factorial 5 over here directly, that is 120, and multiply this 120 by 6, and within much more quicker way it will going to find out the factorial. So this is an example of learning by memorization. Similarly, if we say memorization is a key necessity for learning, why? Because it is a basic necessity for any intelligent program. It can be a complex subject because you have to understand how to store that knowledge. Samuel Checker program employed rote learning. In this we have used parameter adjustment also. A min-max search was used to explore the game tree, and the time constraint do not permit complete searches. It record board position, scores at search end. Now if the same board position arises later in the game, so in spite of performing the same task again, it only picks the stored value, and which can be recalled, and at the end effect it is more deeper search which can occur. So this is one of the example. Whatever the if the same port position occur again, it will not be going to just again start playing for that particular board position, know the output, and for that particular board position what was the score, it will be going to pick that score only and then move ahead. So this is an example of memorization. In case of rote learning, a simple example of rote learning is caching also. Stored computed values or large piece of data can be stored in the memory, and we can recall this information whenever required for computation, which is saving your time, as well as many AI programs have used caching very effectively also. So we see further on that we can say that rote learning is basically a simple process. However, it does illustrate some issues that are relevant to complex learning issues. One is organization. So excess of the stored value must be faster than it would be to recompute it. It's not like this computation is taking lesser time and accessing of stored values taking much more time. So if you are using the stored value, the cost of picking or accessing the stored value should be very faster, and the time should be very less in comparison to computation. And for this the method we use are hashing, indexing or sorting. Samuel program index board position by noting the number of pieces, which can be referred later on in future if the same board position occur. Similarly, there is a case of generalization. The number of potentially stored objects can be very large, and we may need to generalize some information to make the problem manageable. Like Samuel program stored game position only for white to move. Also rotation along diagonal are combined. So we will be referring only those positions which are for white to move further on, and the rotations which are having diagonals combined. So this is generalization, because otherwise we will be having lot of stored objects in our database, which will make our database very heavy. So we have only to store those objects which are potentially going to give better results, and we can access them in a much more better way, which will not be taking lot of time to store as well as access. Next is stability of the environment. So rote learning is not very effective in a rapidly changing environment. If the environment does not change, then we must detect and record exactly what has changed. That is a frame problem. So these are the three things which we have to be very careful about while implementing or using rote learning. So there is a small difference between store and compute which you should be very much careful about. Rote learning must not decrease the efficiency of the system. You should remember we must be able to decide whether it is worth storing a particular value, it is potential value or not, and we should consider the case of multiplication. It is quicker to recompute the product of two numbers rather than taking the stored value of numbers. So this is one of the case. So we have to be very much careful what to store, whether computation is taking much time or storing and then accessing is taking much time. So whatever is better at that particular time, we have to go for that. So how can we decide it? So one is cost benefit analysis. Decide when the information is first available, whether it should be stored. An analysis could weigh upon the amount of storage required, the cost of computation, and how frequently we will be recalling that information. On the basis of this only, we will be analyzing whether the data to be stored or will be left for computation. Selective forgetting. Here we allow the information to be stored initially and decide later if we retain it or not. Clearly the frequency of reuse is a good measure. We could tag an object with its time of last use. If the cache memory is full and we wish to add a new item, we remove the least recently used object from the cache so that we can have a space to select the most potential information. Variation could include some form of cost benefit analysis to decide if the object should be removed or not. For today's lecture, rest of the details we will be learning in coming lectures. Thank you. Have a nice day.